don't have the mic, I decided that I'm going to try a couple of different options, and I'm testing it on you guys. I am not using the mic. I'm just using the regular iPhone microphone. And let me just see if this is recording. Oh my goodness, hang on. I gotta stop this car and check, because you know what? You know how many times I've recorded a video and nothing was recording? Oh, you're recording. Look at that. Look at that. We are recording. So I'm trying to try the difference in the mic and without the mic and with the mic, and trying it here and here, and I'm not sure if I shouldn't put it like on my hat, maybe, or maybe as an earring. I'm joking, but I'm gonna give it a shot and see what it looks like in the final product. So we'll see. Anyways, I'm driving back from my wonderful visit with my friend Linda and her lovely family. She has 14 children. It's amazing. I've actually made friends with several people that have like 10 plus children, and it's quite amazing how different that is, the whole having so many children, than when you have like one or two. When you have one or two, I think that you can really make them more egocentric. I find that the less children you have, and this is not true, this isn't like a formula, because you can make your children obviously less egocentric, but when you have like one kid, like for example, and an only child, the whole world is, their whole world is revolving around that child. When you have two or even three, you can really revolve your life around those children, and they really do become more egocentric. These children that are 10 plus, they're not as egocentric because they are in their own, ostensibly in their own community. And I don't know if anyone has noticed, but I'm using and so a lot more. I think, getting better at it. So that was an oxymoron, wasn't it? Okay. So anyway, there it goes again. See, now I've got it in my head. I said it. It's kind of like, alcoholics should never even have a drink because then they can't stop. It's similar. Our brains are very, very predictable if you understand the brain, which most of us don't, including myself. So look at that. And maybe I'm just lying to myself. That's another thing. The next couple of videos that I'm going to be checking on, I'm going to make an exceptional effort to see if I am still saying so and because I think I'm doing it less. But now that I'm talking and I've put light on it, I'm like, maybe that's not true, actually. All right. I was going to say that word again, and I am not going to say it. But I was watching a movie with my husband not so long ago, and that was part of the sentence, where it was a Russian movie that was completely translated, which is great because you don't need to watch subtitles. And I find that in Canada, and I think probably in the States, or at least the people that I know, when I tell them of a really good movie, because I've told you about my stint with like the 10 years of absolutely just being obsessed with Bollywood. Well, if you don't mind watching international movies, which I love personally, like I think the only movies I don't really enjoy that are international are French, like from France, not like the people that are French in Canada, no offense. But I really, really, really like I'm starting to realize I really like Russian movies, and I really like what is that? I'm trying to think of the oh gosh, I'll put it down there, because there was a there was a series that I like to watch. It was called The Rain. I think it was on Netflix. It's called The Rain, and that was, I can't remember what country it was. I will put it on the screen. Anyway, I watched this Russian translated without any subtitles, and so, sorry, I got lost in the weeds. Most people don't like to read subtitles. They won't watch a movie that doesn't have the voiceovers. Most of the people that I know. But because I did so many years of Bollywood and like 3 hours of it, I started really getting used to just subtitles and not really letting it bother me, or not letting it stand in a way of a really good piece of cinematography and also a lot of messaging. So you find that I use that word again, you find that every country has their way. It's starting to be less and less so, but it's their way of communicating how they want their societies to look like, whether it's, like even like I watched, there's a movie called Ip Man, or whatever. I think it's Chinese, or like, I think it's Chinese. I don't think it's Japanese, but it's Oriental, like it's Asian. And the feeling of these movies is very different than Hollywood and, the Canadian Hollywood version. And there's like a different feel, a different flavor. The grains are very, very different. Just like even when you look at the background, like the light switches are different, the doorknobs are different, the doors are different, the windows are different. Now, less and less, as I said, but still, it's very, very, very cool. So I watched this movie with my husband. I thought this movie, it was called The Blackout. And I thought this movie, so spoiler alert, if you want to watch it, switch this off if you are listening, and watch it. Don't listen to this talk. This movie, I thought, based on the trailer, was a blackout, and basically how society deals with that, because it's a long-term blackout, is what I understood in the trailer. But that's really not necessary. It is to some extent that, but it's not really the preface, I think the preface or the context of really what the movie's about. The movie is about exposing what we are, where we came from, and basically our function. And I don't know if any of you ever listened to David Icke. I forgot to mention that David Icke is somebody that I like to listen to. I have some of his books. I do like to listen to him, but I do have a hard time crossing the barrier of the whole alien thing. But everything else that he says really paints a picture of the Matrix. So David Icke is a guy that I would probably say that came to my mind the most when I was listening or watching this movie. This movie is set in Russia, as you probably would obviously assume, because it's Russian. And there is a complete blackout. And this blackout, wherever there is this blackout, it comes to light, funny enough, that everyone dies. And there isn't really an apparent reason. There's no apparent reason. They just, wherever they are, they've died. It's almost as if they got gassed, and not even, because it didn't look like there was any struggle. There was no fight. There was no trying to, when you have a heart attack, sometimes when people have a heart attack, they die in a specific position where you can tell they had a heart attack. But there was no sign that there was any struggle, that there was any pain during their dying. People, died shopping. People died, gonna be eating dinner, that kind of thing. And from the moment that it gets dark, there's never any light that comes back on. That's the first thing. The second thing is there's a few sections in parts of Europe and Russia where there is these things that they start calling circles of life. And the reason why they're called circles of life is they're like specific areas that have life in them because all their power is switched on. And nothing is happening in those areas. Like in terms of like everything allegedly works. All the people are healthy. There is no, I am using that word. I take that back. I think I'm not getting better. Squirrel. And as the movie progresses, you're learning that there's less and less of these circles of life, that these circles of life are shrinking. And ostensibly, this is like the last place where Moscow or this circle of light in Russia and Moscow are like almost the only basically places that are left that have these circles of light. So they now have to actively go into the darkness because now and it's not dark all the time, it's just dark at night, that there's absolutely no electricity. That's what I mean by dark. I don't mean it's dark in the world, no sunshine. During the day there's sunshine. And as you move through the movie, because they now need to figure out what's happening, so some of these, army exercises or teams are going in, and even during the night, and during the night is when things start happening. Anyways, it's not a horror, so just for the record, because I don't watch horrors. And there are, a set of people that you're following for the most part of the movie, the heroines or whatever they are, and they discover, they bring some people in that are survivors from the blackouts, like from the electrical blackouts. They bring them in, and there's one guy that's seeing things, like he's like almost like an oracle, where he sees things and he's having these dreams, and there's like all these things coming to him. And this guy, because of this, and he was saved, he kind of draws this entity, and this entity is what he describes as what we would describe as our God. And he's not the best looking, let's just put it that way. He's not horrific, because you get kind of used to him. He does get kind of cute, but for the most part, he's not that attractive. And then we find out that this entity and his people have destroyed their planet, as always. These are always the pretexts, so this is the boring part. And they have found that Earth is a very good match for them, that they can be there. Our oxygen, our air works for them, and they can thrive here. And we find out that they actually created us, and we are considered, as a function, a virus. Okay? And the reason why they created us some 200,000 years ago is because it takes 200,000 years for them to get from their planet that they've now ostensibly destroyed to our planet. And this is not the first movie where this is showcased, that we're a virus, aka the Matrix also calls us a virus. But it goes into an interesting couple of things that is sort of thrown. An idea is thrown. This is just ideas. But we were put on this planet because we destroyed so what it does is it kind of explains some mysteries that are always sort of been mysteries and people don't really have answers to. The mystery of, for example, the Egyptian pyramids and Atlantis and all of these discoveries that humans are finding as these lost cities, lost civilizations. And these lost civilizations is what was on the planet when these beings came, visited, they did a little tour, and they decided, yep, this is the house we want to buy. Okay, how do we clean it up and clear it out and make clear the land, as it were. Kind of like what's, I don't want to bring up what's happening in the Middle East, but I would say, well, that's a kind of a similar idea, which brings me to the fact that this movie was very thought-provoking. And again, it's kind of like, don't take it literally, but just, think about the story. And when they decided that that civilization must go because we can't share the planet that we want, right? We want it. We want the beachfront property, right? They decided to create us, and we were the virus. We were to be violent. We were to procreate without any kind of thought, without any kind of strategic planning. And we were just, our purpose was to eradicate the civilizations that inhabited the world 200,000 years ago. Which is very interesting, because why are we finding these buildings that have like 9-foot doors, and buildings that have been buried, that are in better standing in terms of architecture than what we can build? We right now, there's so many architectural buildings that still stand to this day that I can't think of really seeing people build it unless there was some sort of group of people that were specifically designed for that kind of architecture. If you look at anything like 150 years or older, you realize that architecture, even with all of our technologies, allegedly, besides the one that's like coming down on us that involve chips in our brain, we don't have the people with the skills to replicate those things, which is ironic. It's kind of like we landed on the moon in the 50s, I would say. I don't remember when. I'll research it. But we can't get back there. With all of our technologies, we can't get back there. We have AI, but we can't get back to the moon. Okay, well, you could chew on that yourself. You decide how that works. And back to the movie, we were the virus they needed to kill off those original heirloom people, and we're the weeds that killed them off. Interesting. No? I thought that was pretty interesting. And these beings were arriving the next day or 2 days from then or whatever it was. And now we are and the way that they control us is through our mind. Like, they can take our mind over, and that's it. And we basically died of a biological, again, another weird coinky-dink. Biological, it was basically what happened was when it went dark, it's as if there was a light switch turned off and we biologically got switched off, because these people ostensibly created us. And whenever something like a virus is created, there's usually an antidote. And you can argue with me on that, but do as you will. I will do as I will. But there is always an antidote, because they generally start with the end goal in mind and work their way back. Mathematically, that makes the most sense. You don't want to create something that you can't then control, because that's really kind of, stupid. So, at the very least, it's not intelligent. And so they switched off the majority of people. They switched them off, basically. Then they kept a certain a certain minority of people that then they had controlled by one of these beings. But again, in this context, it would appear that the being that was talking to the humans, which is basically this being, our God, is talking to the virus. And basically now he's negotiating with the virus to help him get an upper hand on his people that are about to arrive. And he demonstrates to the people that are now still in the circle of light that haven't been affected by any of this, that he at any time can control them. And so he does that very quickly by showing them an example, and there's no doubt in our minds that there's no way our little pop guns are going to do anything against these guys. So that leads us to humans now are realizing there's like maybe 1% of the human species left alive that either is not being controlled by this other similar or the same. It's hard to explain. So there's two of these guys. There's a guy that's controlling the people so that they're killing the rest of the people in preparation for the people, and then this other one that's been on with the virus, has been on our planet ostensibly for 200,000 years. And I guess he got subverted by we infected him somehow, because he's kind of like Smith in the Matrix, where he's not really obeying the rules of his society, which is what he's supposed to be doing. And so when he gets these people to agree, okay, we'll help you find this other guy that's controlling all the other people that didn't die in the first wave when they switched off the lights. Those ones were strong enough to be utilized in the second phase. And as the third phase approaches, which is everybody gets turned off, and they ostensibly come and take over the planet and move into their new home, they go ahead and they, together with this first being that's negotiating with the virus, with the terrorists basically, they basically kill the second guy, and now who's left is the guy that's negotiating with the virus, with us. In the end, the virus manages to kill their god. So there's a few lessons here. One, never negotiate with a virus or with terrorists, because it never works out in your favor, ever. And secondly, human nature is very complex, and human nature has a tendency to even corrupt gods. And there's been lots of cases in movies where they showcase that. So that was what it was a really thought-provoking movie, although I would not recommend it watching before bed. There's a lot of violence, which I don't appreciate. But again, I think violence in this day and age, unfortunately, brings in the eyeballs. And if you like violence and you like the action of violence, and that heart palpitation that happens when you are outnumbered, outgunned, you're the underdog and you don't know if you're going to make it, chances are you're saying goodbye to everybody just in case you don't make it. Anyway, if you like that kind of thing, this is a movie for you. But I would say that it's thought-provoking. It's thought-provoking on so many levels, because it's kind of a thinking exercise for your brain to think, what if our purpose was to be a virus? What if our purpose was to do exactly, just kind of like what I was saying in my last video about all the steps it took me to get to where I am. If they hadn't happened that way, I wouldn't be where I am. It's kind of similar. Like maybe we have a function, and that function is to be able to do A, B, and C to set the scene for D, E, and F. Like, for example, I would say, the internet, the computer, and in that movie, in the book that I'm reading, in Behold a Pale Horse, it shows that systematically every step has to be built out properly in order for us to be able to climb closer and closer to the end goal, which is their goal, not our goal. When we use the word progress. Oh, and the other thing that was really interesting is that he brought up religion, and he brought up that Religion was given to us, and it really does beg the question, who wrote any of our books? And why are all the books have a thread of commonality throughout all of them? It's almost as if they were all printed on the same back channel of a thread, but each of them got cut up into different sections so that we won't agree, because we'll be fighting which one of us has the best religion. And and it's undoubted, it's proven, it's undoubted, what is the word? I'm struggling for words today. It's irrefutable. That's what it is. It's irrefutable that at some point, before organized government became a thing, before banking, before we had the amalgamation of, the banking cartel and the government cartel, before they were able to build out that structure, the first structure was religion. And religious doctrines were written by who? We don't know. We don't have that history. And if we do, we're not obliged to know it. And those religions were the government of the day. If you really look at it, the priests, the bishops, they were the people of knowledge. They knew more science than we did because they were able to read the sacred texts. They were the only ones reading it. And they could manage us how they would because we were lacking information at that time. Now it's the opposite. I digress in terms of the opposite, because right now we have so much information that we're lost in it. Now we're like in a pile of information, and all of us are arguing which information is the real information, right? You would hopefully agree with that. Anyway, I thought that it would be interesting to talk about how it really made me think about the possibility, and I'm not saying that this is true, but what I am saying is, what if any parts of those elements of that movie was true? What would that mean? What would that actually mean? Sorry, you're going to be shaking a lot. What would that actually mean to us as a species, in terms of if we knew that there was a God that put us here for a purpose of, let's say, cleansing the land, right? How would we actually feel about that? And the truth is would we ever, this is the bigger question, would we ever be able to allow that information to enter us and actually consider it truly and understand what the consequences of that truth or that reality, if it was a fact, what actually would happen? Would we just go into complete anarchy? Would we completely just want to kill ourselves? What would we do with that kind of information? Because I thought to myself, when that guy revealed himself and I saw him, first of all, it was jarring at first. And then when he said that, I thought to myself, I put myself in that woman, because he revealed the information to a woman. I thought to myself, would I be like some of the people I know in my life and go, no, that's not possible, I don't believe it, and reject it all at once? Or would I be a person that would be able to take it in, sort of analyze it, and decide whether or not I can handle the truth? So I was thinking that, and I wanted to share that with you guys. And I'm at home now, so I am going to, there's that word again, I have not improved, I don't think at all. I've just actually brought it to light, and I've realized I have not improved. I think I'm going to have to put some sort of sticky, or I'm going to have to write on my phone, no, and maybe then I will improve, because it'll be on the forefront of my mind. I think this video was not that long. I'm trying a variety of things. Mics, I'm trying a variety of lengths. I am not sure if people prefer the introduction with a little bit of music or not. I really do like music. I feel it gives it like and like's another word I need to axe. It makes it feel a little bit more, I don't know, inviting or sultry, or I don't know, sultry is the wrong word because sultry implies there's an implication with sultry. I'm at home. I'm going to sign off. I want to thank you if you've made it this far to my ramblings. And again, if you wouldn't mind looking at that little button that starts with an S and subscribe, I really appreciate it. Help me decide whether or not this is a valuable anything. If anybody wants to get into conversation with someone as squirrely as me. And also, if it doesn't cost you anything, if you can press that little thumbs up button. And if you want to hear back from me again every Monday and Thursday, press the button that has a little reminder, the bell. I just started using the bell, not really realizing the bell value, but now that I've been using the bell, all of the guys that, it's kind of like putting a heart on your gallery of pictures. Now I know which ones are my favorite without having to look into them further. So if that really helps, and if I can get rid of the so's, that would be really helpful. But if that is something that you guys would be interested in, press the bell. Anyways, I hope that wherever you are, you're enjoying the beautiful weather. Sunshine at the very least. And hopefully it's warm where you are, because right now my feet are freezing. I didn't want to turn on that heater so it's so loud. But until then, until the next time I meander, have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye, y'all. Mwah.